Story time on how I got away from a narcissist, but was also almost unalive in the process. So I decided to tell this story. We'll tell my story because so much stuff is happening right now around domestic violence. And maybe my story will help somebody. So it was some things that, I realize now that I didn't realize when I was in the whole relationship process or whatever. And for those of y'all who know me or whatever and already know the story or whatever, I'm going to switch some names up or whatever. So if you know who you are or whatever, thank you. Thank you. So let's start from the beginning. Back in 2016, we all the way back there. I'm old, whatever. 2016, I was married. And at the time, I'm going to tell the truth, I was in my whole stage. Or whatever, and being with one person for a long period of time can make you do some things or whatever. Also, I never got a chance to party before that. I didn't party, I didn't go out, I didn't club, I didn't drink, I didn't get fucked up, toe up, whatever you want to call it, like I do now or whatever. I didn't get a chance to do that. I didn't get a chance to experience that before I got married. So that's besides the fact. But marriage got rocky and I started partying. I started drinking. I started hanging around the wrong crowds. They started getting into my ear or whatever. And I met this dude. Yeah, I was married. Met this dude. Whatever. Marriage was rocky. Met this dude or whatever. We're going to call him Calvin. So I met Calvin or whatever. He was nice. Real generous. The type that'll sweep you off your feet with a good talk game. And at the time, me and my husband were separated. We were going through that rocky stage or whatever because, yes, I admit, I was out there. So, my husband had moved out. And, all right, so me and this dude, Calvin, we started getting very, very acquainted. Like we was going out. We was, he was coming over to the house and everything like that. So, boom. We get into, I want to say a year of the relationship. Stuff's still going good or whatever. He got a little temper on him, but I got a little temper on me too. So, it ain't shit to about. So I think. So, after, dates, a year go by or whatever, I was forced to move out of the place that me and my husband had, and I moved to Rocky Mount. So I get me a place in Rocky Mount. At the time, which was a lie, Calvin stayed in somewhere away from Rocky Mount. Stayed away from somewhere from Rocky Mount or whatever. So Calvin was coming over my house more and more or whatever, to the point where it was like, all right, come on, move in or whatever. Yeah, moving fast as fuck. Don't judge me, judge him. Okay, so after we move in or whatever, you meet my mom, you meet my brothers or whatever, and everything was cool. Okay. First red flag I should have noticed was everything was going too smooth, but that attitude. Every time I got ready to go out, it was, why you gotta go out and hang out with them hoes and all this stuff or whatever? Like, you didn't want me to do nothing if it didn't revolve around you. First red flag. Okay? So, into a year, we into it for a year or whatever. So, I go to your mom's house. I meet your mom or whatever. So, I'm like, okay, stuff might be getting a little serious or whatever. I like him, he like me, we in that love bird stage or whatever. Okay. One day, my ex-husband wanted to come and get his kids. So, we texting back and forth, me and my ex-husband, about him, to meet up, the drop-off process or whatever the case may be or whatever. So, in the meantime, I'm already planning because me and Calvin, we know we do our things on the weekend or whatever because I spend time with my kids during the week. Okay, so, one day he was like, hey, let's go to my mama's house or whatever, let's chill, whatever. So, that was after the fact that, my kid's dad come he wanted to meet me to come and get the kids or whatever. So I'm like, all right, cool, we can go there, whatever. So, all right. In the meantime, we get there or whatever. He is acting weird. Like, I'm talking about attitude everywhere. Every time I ask him something, yeah, no, whatever. So I'm not thinking nothing of it. I'm not thinking nothing of it. So we get to his mom's house or whatever. And mamas know. Keep that in mind. The mamas be knowing. So we get to his mama house, which is in the deep country. I barely know where I am. Like, I barely know where I am. So we get to his mama house. He acting weird. So he goes in the bathroom. So once he goes to the bathroom or whatever, where my phone? My phone is gone. So I'm looking for my phone or whatever. I couldn't find it. So his mom says, you better watch him. He crazy. She's telling me, like, you better watch him. He's crazy. Once he get mad, whatever, you better run. You better look out and all this. I'm laughing it off because, hey, it's his mama. Not knowing that she is telling me, girl, get up and go. Like, because we on my car. Whatever. So, all right. So, his mom and them leave. They leave to go to the grocery store, wherever they was going. And so, he finally comes out the bathroom. And he looks at me with this rage. Like, he says, so, what you and your husband been talking about? So, I'm like, what are you talking about? Or whatever. Because I'm confused. Like, what are you talking about? So, he said, I got your phone. Dude had my fucking phone, bro. Dude had my fucking phone. Like, God, I didn't have no whoop-de-whoops up in there because, yeah. Had my phone, y'all. Had my phone or whatever. And he like, so you been talking about meeting up with him or whatever? We talking about meeting up to, transfer the kids. Like, how we going to do the meet up for the kids or whatever. Dude went off. For me never ever being in that type of abusive relationship or whatever, I thought he was playing. So I go up to him, I'm trying to get my phone, like, get my phone or whatever. So he takes my phone, he throws my phone or whatever. So I'm like, okay, we ain't playing, like, we not playing, like, you just threw my phone or whatever. So you throw my phone or whatever, and I get ready to walk to go and get my phone, and you come up behind me and you whisper in my ear. I remember this day, plain as possible, like plain as day. You whisper in my ear and you say, so you ready? Ready? Ready for what? What the fuck is you? Took his arms, y'all, and choked me so hard. Like, just put me to sleep. Or whatever. Once I came to, or whatever, all I could think about was my kids. Like, what's going to happen? I'm in the country. I barely know where I am. He got my keys. He got my phone. What am I going to do? So we start tussling. I'm trying to get my phone, trying to get my keys. We tussling, whatever. So once everything died down or whatever, that's when he wanted to talk. You want to talk. Well, if you want to leave, you can leave. All this stuff, but you still got my keys and my phone. You want to leave, you can leave or whatever. Like, I only did it because I love you. That's where you got me at. Because we've been in this for a whole year. You never said that to me. And that was the first time he said he loved me after he had did what he had did to me. So this is first year or whatever. If y'all want part 2, follow Big Quan or whatever. And I will explain how I got away from a narcissist and almost was unalive in the process. Hey y'all, hey. So since y'all like the story time so much, let's get into part 2 of how I got away from a narcissist and was almost unalive in the process. So where we left off was the first time he put his hands on me. Also, the first time, he told me he loved me or whatever. Okay. So that was partially year 1. And I was with this man for 4 whole years or whatever. So, okay. So after he put his hands on me for the first time and I accepted it. That's the main thing. I accepted it. The abuse didn't stop as I thought it would. I was young. After that, it just got worse and worse. With abuse, he figured that he figured out that I was real into, wearing my heart on my sleeve, giving people what they want. I was a yes girl. As I stated, I was young, when you young-minded, you don't know what to expect or what's going to happen. So year 2 was, I don't want to say it was my worst, but it was one of the worst years because he kept me in a state where it was like low, real low. Like, I doubted myself. I was getting new jobs, making a lot of money or whatever. And this was the year that I got introduced into the herbs. Yeah. One day we sitting around, and when I tell you that this man smoked for everything he done. Oh, I'm going here, I gotta smoke. Oh, we gotta eat, I gotta smoke. I gotta smoke. It was always he had to smoke. And when he didn't get his products, I had to pay. Okay, so how I got introduced into the whole herb world was one day we sitting around, and peer pressure, everybody doing it or whatever, and I'm just the one sitting over there quiet, So I'm like, okay, let me try it. From then on, I was hooked. I turned into him. I was smoking every day. I had to smoke with everything that I was doing. Oh, I got to work, coming home, cooking, anything I did, I had to stop and smoke. It was like it was an addiction. I'm not gonna say it was like an addiction. It was an addiction or whatever. And also at this time, I was making a lot of money. Like I had a job. I was doing good or whatever. And I noticed that anytime I felt like I was that girl, he'll bring me right back down to where he wanted me to. Anything I ever brought myself, I was proud of, he would tear it up. Anything. I remember one incident where it was a hurricane coming in Rocky Mount. And so we wanted to get away. So we went to a room. And so he he trying to find smoke. He mad because he couldn't find no smoke. It's a hurricane coming. Everybody's trying to get ready. So trying to find smoke. So he finally found some. It's in Wilson or whatever. And at this time, like I said, I was working a new job, and I went out and I brought me a car. I was proud of my car, my little Chrysler 300, white, all white. It looked brand new in the inside, but I got it from a used car lot. It was mine, and I was proud of it. So he come in and he say, I found some smoke, but it's in Wilson or whatever. Give me your keys. Give you my keys? Like, are you? No. I tell y'all, I fought this man so hard because he was not driving my car. And I knew any other thing that I ever had, he tore it up. Phones, TVs, anything I ever had, he tore it up. And I just knew that if I let him drive my car, I was not going to have no car. So eventually, he get the keys and he leaves. He leave, and I'm waiting, anxious, waiting. I'm like, okay, so maybe he gonna come back. Like, he'll be back. So I'm waiting 3, 4, 5 hours or whatever. And eventually he calls and he say, when I was on the way to Wilson, I ran under a bridge and it was a water puddle and the car cut off. My heart, y'all, just sank because I'm like, that's my car. I'm done. Like, that's my car. So after that conversation or whatever, he comes back. He finds his way back, and he like, well, we just gonna let it dry out and it'll crank up in the morning. After that, we go to Wilson the next morning to pick up my car. Car still wouldn't crank. So we get it towed, and we get it towed to his mama's house. And people come out and look at it, and my car is total loss. Everybody know that with the Chrysler 300, everything under the hood is electrical. It was no coming back from. So right then and there, I already knew he had me. He had me because in my mind, I was like, I just give up. Like, I can't have anything. I won't have anything while he's around. So after that, I went into deep depression. I remember just, going to work. And by him having to take me to work, it was work and home, work and home, work and home. He didn't want me out. He didn't want me partying. Pushed me away from everybody. I had nobody, because I pushed everybody away for this man. Like I really pushed everybody away for this man. So I had no support. Nobody knew what I was going through. Nobody, until everything, hit the fan. Nobody knew. So, I started smoking, drinking more and more, just sitting in the house. Like he was the type where a date to him was riding around the city with his new speakers that I brought, loud as hell, like we in high school or whatever. So at that point, it was just like, I'm just going to go with it this second year. I did get a chance to go out. I had to sneak. I remember having to go to my cousin's house, take my clothes, pack a bag, take my clothes or whatever, leave before he get there and sneak. And I remember her used to say all the time, better enjoy your time now. You better enjoy your time now or whatever. And I'm like, yeah, because I knew when I got back home, I was going to get beat the fuck up. I already knew it. So it was basically like enjoy your time or whatever. Have all the fun you can or whatever, because you ain't going to get none for a couple of months, because he going to be on your ass. And as I stated before, he kept me at a low state where it was like, you can't do for yourself. Every time I thought, okay, I got this, somebody do this, somebody do that, it was like, no. He stepped in and it was like, no, this is not what you about to do or whatever. We gonna do this. And I would always go along with it, because I didn't want the abuse. I didn't want the extra stuff going on around my kids at the time. So he pretty much kept me at a lower state. I remember houses having nothing in them, y'all. Like, houses having nothing in them, like no bed. And I'm not ashamed, because, like I said, this is my story to tell. Somebody else might be going through the same thing. No beds, no furniture, like anything. It was always tore up. Like it was tore up. Like, I feel like year 2 was a trial, just to see. I guess he was just trying to see how far I would go before I broke. Like, before I, threw up my hands and was like, I'm done. Because in reality, I was scared. Like, I was really scared. I had nobody behind me. And that's because that was my choices. Not because nobody gave up on me or anything. It was my choices to push everybody away. Because it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing. Nobody came to my house, because my house was not a house. Like, it was a prison for me. Year 3 was horrible. It was no better. And everybody like, well, why didn't you leave? And I know most women, I know it's a woman right now getting ready to say the same thing that I'm about to say. If I leave, then what? And that's pretty hard, like, to say, because that's what I thought all the time. I'm gonna leave. I'm planning my escape, and then it's like, what am I gonna do? I don't have nobody. Like, but part 3, like, share, follow. If you want to know how I escaped a narcissist and was almost unalived in the process, get ready for part 3. Hey y'all, hey. So part 3 of how I got away from a narcissist and was almost unalived in the process. So where we left off was the end of year 2. Me losing my car, explaining, how I had nothing really. Everything was always tore up in the process. So now we start getting into the good stuff. Year 3. Year 3, I was still working the good job, and as I stated, y'all remember him having to, take me back and forth to work. With that being said, or whatever, you remember I told y'all that anytime I felt high, he brought me back down. So I'm working this good job. I started on 3rd shift. working 7 to 7 in the morning. I was pushing to get hired permanent because I was a temp. I was pushing to get hired permanent onto this job or whatever. And eventually it happened. I was a good worker. They came to me and told me that, we want you to come to first shift and be a operator. So I was happy about that. So in the midst of me getting hired on first shift, it was better hours, better money, good money. He was still taking me back and forth to work until I got too high. I started, buying me new stuff. We got a new house. I got us a new house. I didn't get new furniture because he wanted to, get used furniture. His mom had an old living room set. He wanted that. Old beds and everything was old. I'm guessing because, like I said, once I got too high, you want to keep me low. So basically, everything in the house that was furnished was his. I looked at it as, okay, everything in the house is his, so at any given time or whatever, I can go back to having nothing. So I'm still feeling myself, I'm making this money, this is my money or whatever. So it got to a point where I guess I was feeling myself too much, and he wanted to keep me low. So what'd he do? Stop taking me to work. It would be mornings where I get up on time and I'm ready and he's pacing. I don't have to work. So when I, fuss about it or whatever, hey, come on, we gotta go. I'm gonna be late or whatever. That job is not that important. This job pays the bills. This job got us to where we are now. Went from being late to not going. Oh, how many points you got? Well, you can get another one or whatever. You can just stay home today. To the, oh, you trying to rush to go to the job. Who you trying to see? Who you trying to impress? Like, this is what pays the bills. Like, I have to work. Point where I walked into work one day and didn't have a job. So once again, I'm back in his hands. New house, rent, light bill coming up, no way to pay. Once again, I'm struggling. I'm depressed. I'm drinking. I'm smoking. I'm this big, y'all. I'm this big. And with nobody or whatever, I got even smaller. I remember not eating, not drinking, just laying around because I felt so defeated. And once again, I let this man take away everything that I was proud of. I was happy with. I was content with. I worked my way to get that job. I worked my way the first shift, what I wanted. And he took it all. And around this time, or whatever, once he took it all, out of the 3 years that we had been together, I had never, met his kids. So he had 2 kids. So once the kids started coming around or whatever, it was basically since I was so low and I couldn't provide myself or my kids with the things that they wanted, the things that they needed, he pawned that in front of me. So he would go out, even though it was his mama taking care of the kids, I knew that, but he would pawn his kids in front of me and make it like his kids were better than my kids. So at this time, like I said, I was depressed. I was defeated, really. Rent coming up, lights coming up. What are we gonna do? And also around this time, I used to go in, get my hair done all the time, from one of my cousins. And I'm not gonna say her name, but she knows exactly who she is. So we gonna call her Monique. Monique. So I used to go to Monique's house, and sometimes, well, she never came to my house because I always went to her house. But we know the story with that. Nobody ever came to my house. So she doing my hair or whatever, and every time she did my hair, y'all, she just knew. Like, she just knew something was wrong. I was getting smaller. Words were getting shorter. I didn't want to talk half of the time. And every time she made sure, what's wrong? You okay? Like, you what's wrong? Or whatever. So hold up. So I started confining in this cousin, and I started letting her in on everything that I had going on. And I remember her just saying, like, Quanta, you better than that. You better than that. She was younger than me. And yeah, she pretty much, she was a savior. Because being a older cousin, a real older cousin, and to hear your little cousin tell you what needs to be done and how much I needed to fight for my kids, and how could I let, this go on so long, why my mom didn't know, or why didn't nobody know, whatever. Like, it's yeah. So every time we talked, conversations got deeper and deeper, or whatever, until I let her come to the house. And I let her come to the house to do my hair, doing my hair, and it's like the vibe in the house when she came into the house, she just knew, like, it was more than what I was telling her. Because yes, I was telling her what was going on, what was, what was happening, or whatever. But I didn't give her the whole story. I didn't put out there exactly, what was going on. I just told her that, yeah, he was a monster. Like, he was a monster. I told her some of the stuff he did. We used to text, and I text her crying or whatever. So she was basically like my comfort. Like, I called her for everything after I started telling her, what was going on. So this cousin, Monique, one day when she came over to do my hair, she was like, have you ever thought about, getting away? Like, just escaping. Like, have you ever thought about that? And I told her, I said, if I try to leave, this man gonna follow. Like, he's gonna find me. Whatever happens, like, I'm scared that if I leave, what's gonna happen to me and my kids. And from that day on, me and her planned my escape. And I'm so thankful for her. Like, I tell her all the time, like, I'm so thankful for her, because I wouldn't know where I would be right now if it wasn't for her. And I love you, girl. But if you want to know how I escaped and how me and Miss Monique got me away from a narcissist, but I was almost unalive in the process, get ready for part 4, the meat and potatoes. Hey, y'all. Alright, so part 4 of how I got away from a narcissist, but was also almost unalive in the process. So this part of the story gets real gritty, real grimy, down to the details of, how I really escaped and how hard it was. Now, before I finish the story, I just want to say to all the women that are battling similar or the same stories as me, how corrupt the system is for us. And it's hard. It's very hard to get the system to understand on what you're going through when you really want to get out. So in the story, there were parts that I left out. There were things that happened that were pretty much hard to talk about. But most of the time people ask me, did you ever leave? Did you ever, try to get away? Yes. We would argue or whatever, and by me making good money at a job, I would pack my stuff up and I would leave and go to the room. I would go to the room or whatever. But when I get to the room, it was basically like, now what? Like, okay, so I'm at the room, I'm thinking, I'm brainstorming what I'm going to do. Nobody knows what's going on or whatever. I can't just call somebody out the blue and say, oh, this is going on, when it would basically be the first time that anybody ever heard about, what was going on in my life. Me and Miss Monique, we came up with a plan to escape. She told me that I didn't have to live in fear. She really made me strong and really set my mind onto, I can do this. I can leave. I can leave. Okay, so the plan was, since he had the same routine every day, he'd leave around like 7 o'clock in the morning and be back around 3 or 5. We knew that, it was no way that we was going to be able to pack all my stuff up and just disappear, because he knew basically everything about me, because I was always working home. So without work, I was always home. We came up with a plan where, and I did have to get my kids involved. My son was older. So in the midst of them watching gradually of everything that I was going through, they fought with me. With that being said, the plan was, I would start an argument. And once I started the argument, I would leave. I would, me and my kids would start walking down the street. And my son would get my phone and call Monique and say, okay, they fussing and it's bad. Get here. So I remember it being so hard to find something to, start an argument with, because I didn't have a job, and I think he knew that I was close to my breaking point. So any little thing or whatever, and I was done. I feel like he knew that, because it was so hard. I remember it being so hard to start an argument, but versus any other time, anything would set him off. So one morning, we sitting in the living room, me and the kids, and I'm doing my daughter's hair. And so he came in the living room or whatever. We was low on money. When I tell y'all, we was so low on money or whatever. So he come in the living room and he says, do you got money? Do you got some change for a Swisher or whatever? So I was like, no. In my mind, I was like, okay, this is how I'm going to start an argument. So I was like, no, I already lost my job. So where would I get some money from? Smart mouth. No, I don't have any money or whatever. So by this time, I'm already looking at my son like, okay, yeah, this about to be it. So I go into the back, and I remember us having this big like change jar, it's like a can, like a popcorn can. It had change in it. So I remember going to the back, and I picked up a handful of change, and I just threw it, and I was like, there go the money. I said, that's all you here for, money or whatever. Get it out of Quanda. Get everything from Quanda. So I'm mouthing off or whatever. So he gets mad. He storms to the back. I go back up to the front, and I hear him in the back, like taking all of my stuff out, throwing my stuff, tearing up like he normally does. I remember saying, fuck this shit, loud as hell. And I was just like, y'all come on. I had on a dress, like a nighttime dress, no shoes. And I remember telling my kids, let's just go. So we go outside and we start walking. And while we walking, I'm telling them, I said, whatever happened or whatever, just, stick with the plan. Stick with the plan. It's going to work this time. We get out this time, we're going to get out. So I give my son my phone. I tell him to put it in his pocket. He already knew Monique's number. So As soon as I hand my son the phone and I turn back around to keep walking, I hear my son scream out, "Mom, he behind us." And I turn around and he is bawling behind us. And I remember him, he pushed me in the ditch. And we just went from there. We started fighting. And cars were coming past. Nobody stopped. Nobody checked. It's me and 3 kids outside. Nobody checked. We in the ditch. We fighting. So if eventually we end up back to the house. That's the blurry part. We end up back in the house. And the kids go in their room and then I go in the back. But my son still has my phone. So I'm in my head like, did my son do what I told him to do? Or what's happening or whatever? I lied to y'all not. I stayed way across town and Monique stayed in, I don't know if y'all familiar with Rocky Mount, but she stayed in Hunter Hill. I stayed on Leggett Road. When I tell y'all, Monique got to my house in 5 minutes. And I heard her pull up. I heard the rocks spinning. She coming in the yard. I heard her knock on the door. And I'm in my head, I'm like, yes, like, it's done. We done. Like, so she get there and she knocks on the door. And I hear her say, is Quanda here? Or whatever. So he like, yeah, but you're going to have to come back. So she was like, well, where the kids? Or whatever. He said, well, they in the room or whatever. So she was like, well, I'm just coming over here to get the kids. And so she get the kids or whatever. So I hear her come in. And I'm in the back. I'm crying. I'm scared. And I hear her walking towards the back. And I hear him say, nah, she good. Or whatever. I think she back there taking a bath or whatever she doing. Or whatever. So you can get the kids or whatever. And I hear her leave. So I hear the door close. And I'm just like, I'm done. Like, I'm done. Like, I already know what's about to happen. So, once I hear the door close, me thinking I'm defeated, I'm done, I hear another knock on the door. And the door opens. And I hear a dude. This dude. I hear a dude. We gonna call him Montreal. I hear Montreal say, if you don't let Quanda leave, somebody gonna leave. And so I'm like, okay. You know, like, okay, who is this? Like, who is this? And then I hear my aunt. I hear my aunt come up to the door. And she says, yeah, go ahead and let her leave. Let her leave. Y'all can talk it out later. Y'all just let her leave. And I get my stuff. The clothes on my back, y'all. The clothes on my back. And I leave. Part 5. How I got away from a narcissist. But was almost unalive in the process. Gets better. Like, share, follow. Part 5 of how I got away from a narcissist, but was almost unalived in the process. Okay, so where we left off in 4, I got out of the house after me and Monique planned that great escape. And so we leave. Once again, I'm in my head. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? So we leaving and we go to her house. And I'm basically in my mind, I'm scared, I'm anxious, like I'm shaking, I'm scared because I know that this man is going to follow me. He's going to follow wherever I go. And when you're a good person, it's hard for men to let you go, especially when he's got someone that's, you know, doing everything that he wanted him to do. The paying the bills, the getting anything he wants, just anything that pertains to a good person, a narcissist is going to try to latch on to that. Like, he's never going to let that go. Ever. So we get to my cousin's house, and basically, I stayed there. The whole entire time I stayed there, text messages, Facebook posts downgrading me and my kids, showing pictures of the house that he put us in. He put us in that situation. Yes, he called social service on me and told him that I was a bad mom, what typical people do. He tried everything in his power to, downgrade me. And around this time, everybody started getting word of what was going on, and my mom came into play. And she was like, this man basically is crazy. Like, you have to go take out a warrant. Okay. So I goes down to the magistrate office, and I tell the magistrate, this man is stalking me. He won't leave me alone. I tell him everything but about the abuse. So the magistrate looks me dead in my eyes, and he says, well, all we have is just social media posts. What do you want to tell me that will make me take out a warrant on this man? So I just told him, I've been abused. Look at how small I am. I've been going through this for coming up on 4 years. I'm just tired. So we take out a warrant. And that didn't stop anything. Nothing. Still calls, threats. When I changed my number, he started emailing me. That's how well he knew me. He started emailing me. Like, come on now. Starts emailing me. Okay? Emailing me, threats. I'm going to get you all this, the typical threats or whatever. But what was scary to me was I knew in the back of my mind that the things that he was saying, he was capable of. So I stayed with my cousin for the months that I did stay with her. Text messages emails were still coming through. And I was just defeated once again because I'm out of the house, but basically I'm still there because I'm still getting that mental abuse. Like, I'm scared. Like, I couldn't even take my kids to school, y'all. This man was riding past the school. And by me having a car that, he didn't recognize, I see him before he sees me. So I started Googling, what could I do? How could I take out a restraining order? Where could me and my kids go? Because we basically had to go into hiding. So I looked up this place, and this place that I'm about to shout out helped me so much, y'all. If you're going through the same thing or around the same thing that I'm going through, and you just want to get away, like you want it to stop. My sister's house in Nashville, North Carolina. I took my kids to school, and I went straight to my sister's house. And when I walked in, it was like a safe haven. Like, it was just all around like, okay, this is where I need to be. I walk in, and I remember the lady name was Amy, and she greeted me, and she was so nice, so gentle. But I just broke down, and she, told her my story, told her everything that was going on. And she said, we can help you, but you gotta want to be helped. And that's all I needed was some help. So Miss Amy, she walked me through the restraining order process. She took me to the courthouse. This place is located right across the street from the courthouse. Right in that corner. It's like a tire shop, and then right behind it, that's my sister's house. So we went across the street, did a restraining order. And with the restraining order, most people don't know that it is a process. Like, you have to get it signed by a judge. A lot of paperwork involved. You have to tell your story. Even though you don't want to tell your story, you have to tell why you want the restraining order. So once I got that in process, I thought, oh, I'm good because he can't come around no more. But with the person not knowing that you took out a restraining order on them, they have to be served. So he has a warrant right now, and he's got a restraining order on him. So, okay, I goes back home. I feel a little bit better about, the situation or whatever. I took all these steps or whatever. Maybe there is a light there is a light. Like, I remember that whole day that I was taking out the restraining order. I found it strange that, I didn't get no calls. Well, no emails, because he couldn't call, he couldn't text message. I remember getting no emails. I found it strange that I got no emails. That was weird to me. So I'm thinking, okay, maybe he over it. Like, maybe, he over it. Like, he done with it. But he won't. He won't. So me and my cousin sitting in the living room, I'm telling her, about the restraining order and what happened. She was always wanting to know, considerate of my feelings, everything that was going on. And so we talking about the restraining order. In the midst of me getting a restraining order, she says, you heard about those 2 girls that went missing in Rocky Mount or whatever. So right after she said it, I started getting Instagram requests from a person that I didn't know, a lady that I didn't know. So I'm like, this person keeps sending me Instagram requests, and I don't know this person. So, okay, I'm denying it. Every time I deny it, it's coming right back. So, looking up and, talking about the 2 girls that were missing. And that was like the rest of our night. We sat up and we talked what I was going to do. We talked about my plan for me and the kids. Even though I was staying with her and I was welcome there, I wanted to start doing better. I wanted better for myself. No emails came through that night. That night, no emails came through. I went to sleep comfortably. I woke up the next morning and I get ready to take my kids to school. And guess who was outside? So, yeah, he was outside. I get in the car. Me and the kids get in the car. Also, with a restraining order, they give you proper steps on if you see the person that you got a restraining order on. So, I'm taking these steps. But this man is following me. Right up on my tail. Like, right on my tail. And if you want to know what happened, the outcome of how I got away from a narcissist, but was also almost unalived in the process, get ready for part whatever. I don't even know. I lost count.